My dear friend, I want to talk to you today about something that can change your life, something that can take you from where you are to where God has destined you to be. It's simple yet so powerful. Focus on yourself. Stay silent. You see, we live in a world where everyone wants to be seen. Everyone wants validation, attention, approval. We post our progress, announce our plans, and seek the applause of people before we even take the first step. But here's the truth. Growth doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the quiet. Your growth is your responsibility. No one else is going to wake up every morning and push you to be better. No one else is going to put in the work for you, discipline your mind, or build your future. That's on you. You can have mentors, teachers, and role models, but at the end of the day, no one can do the work of growth except you. And the sooner you accept that responsibility, the sooner you take control of your own destiny. Too many people wait for the right time, the right motivation, or the right external push before they start growing. They wait for someone to validate their potential before they even begin to work on it. But waiting for someone to notice you, encourage you, or push you forward is dangerous because it puts your future in someone else's hands. What if no one ever claps for you? What if no one ever pushes you? What if no one tells you that you have what it takes? Will you stop growing? Or will you decide that your growth is more important than someone else's approval? You don't need permission to grow. You don't need validation to start working on yourself. The world is full of people who had all the talent in the world but never took responsibility for it. Talent without effort leads nowhere. Intelligence without discipline is wasted. Potential without action is meaningless. You may have everything you need to be successful, but if you don't take responsibility for your own growth, nothing will change. Growth is not automatic. Just because time passes doesn't mean you get better. Years can go by, but if you're not intentional about developing yourself, you will remain the same. Some people believe that simply getting older makes them wiser, but wisdom doesn't come from age. It comes from learning, applying, and growing through experiences. If you're not making an effort to grow, you're not growing. There's a reason why some people seem to move ahead in life while others stay stuck. It's not luck. It's not favoritism. It's not because some people were born with better opportunities. It's because some people take ownership of their growth while others wait for it to happen. The ones who move ahead are the ones who say, I may not know everything, but I'm going to learn. I may not be the best, but I'm going to improve. I may not have all the resources, but I will use what I have to get better. One of the biggest traps in life is blaming external circumstances for your lack of growth. It's easy to say I could be successful if I had better parents, if I lived in a better city, if I had more money, if I had better connections. But the truth is, there are people who started with less than you and still made something of themselves. The difference isn't in their circumstances, it's in their mindset. They took responsibility for their growth instead of waiting for someone else to create an opportunity for them. No one is going to come and force you to grow. No one is going to sit you down every morning and make you read, train, or practice your skills. No one is going to make you show up, be disciplined, or take action. You have to decide that you want to grow and then commit to it, no matter what. It's not easy. Growth requires sacrifice. It requires effort. It requires pushing yourself even when you don't feel like it. Some days you won't be motivated. Some days you'll feel tired, frustrated, or discouraged. But growth doesn't happen when you feel like it. It happens when you push through, even when it's hard. The strongest people aren't the ones who always feel motivated. They are the ones who keep going even when they don't. Growth also requires discomfort. You cannot stay in your comfort zone and expect to grow. Comfort keeps you stagnant. Growth happens when you challenge yourself, when you step into new territory, when you stretch beyond what you thought you were capable of. If you only do what's easy, you will never grow. If you only stick to what's familiar, you will never reach your full potential. Growth is painful because it forces you to confront your weaknesses, your fears, and your excuses. But that pain is necessary. That struggle is what makes you stronger. You will never rise above the level of your personal development. Your relationships, career, finances, and spiritual life will always reflect your level of growth. If you are undisciplined, it will show in every area of your life. If you are lazy, it will affect your opportunities. If you refuse to learn, you will stay in the same place while others move ahead. Your future is a reflection of what you do today. If you want to grow, start taking action now. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start reading, start learning, start practicing. Stop making excuses. Stop looking at what you lack and start using what you have. Develop your skills, invest in your mind, improve yourself daily. No one else can do this for you. Your growth is your responsibility. Your future is in your hands. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Silence is powerful. In a world where everyone is trying to be heard, where people constantly seek validation through social media, conversations, and external approval, the ability to stay silent and let your actions speak is rare. But the truth is, silence speaks louder than words. It is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is not passivity, it is power. When you truly understand the value of silence, you will begin to see how much energy is wasted in unnecessary conversations, pointless arguments, and the need to prove yourself to others. Many people feel the urge to announce their every move. They talk about their plans before they even take the first step. They seek recognition for things they haven't even accomplished yet. But when you are constantly talking about what you're going to do, instead of actually doing it, you are setting yourself up for disappointment. Words without action mean nothing. The real work happens when no one is watching, in the quiet moments of discipline, effort, and dedication. Silence protects your energy. The more you talk about your goals, the more you invite unnecessary opinions, doubts, and distractions into your life. Not everyone wants to see you succeed. Some people will discourage you, not because your dreams are impossible, but because they don't believe in themselves. When you share everything with everyone, you give others the opportunity to influence your mindset. But when you move in silence, you stay focused, you stay clear-headed, and you stay in control of your own journey. There is wisdom in silence. The most successful people understand that speaking too soon can ruin their progress. When you talk too much about your plans, you waste the energy that should be used to execute them. The energy that goes into explaining and justifying yourself to others could be used to actually make progress. Every time you explain yourself, you are giving a part of your focus away. When you stay silent, you keep your power. You allow your work to speak for itself. Silence is a sign of confidence. People who are truly secure in themselves do not need to constantly seek validation. They do not need to prove their worth with words. They understand that their success will be the evidence of their work. Think about the strongest, most impactful individuals in history. They were not the ones who talked the most, but the ones who acted the most. They let their achievements do the talking. They let their discipline, consistency, and results tell the story. The need to always speak, to always explain yourself, to always defend your actions is often rooted in insecurity. But when you are secure in yourself, you realize that you do not need to convince anyone of your worth. You do not need to announce your greatness. You simply need to be great. You do not need to prove your potential. You simply need to fulfill it. The people who doubt you today will see the results tomorrow, and by that time, you won't even need to say a word because success speaks for itself. Silence also teaches patience. In a world where people expect instant recognition, the ability to stay quiet and trust the process is rare. But growth takes time. Success takes time. Just because no one sees your effort today does not mean it is wasted. Just because you are not being praised right now does not mean you are not making progress. Some of the greatest transformations happen in the dark, where no one sees them. Seeds grow underground before they ever break through the soil. Muscles are built in the gym long before they are noticed. Success happens in private before it is ever acknowledged in public. When you embrace silence, you develop a different level of discipline. You no longer need external motivation because your drive comes from within. You no longer need applause because you know that true growth happens whether people notice it or not. You learn to enjoy the process, to trust yourself, and to build something real without seeking immediate recognition. Silence also helps you avoid unnecessary conflicts. So many people waste time and energy arguing over things that do not matter. They get caught up in proving a point, defending themselves, or responding to negativity. But when you understand the power of silence, you realize that you do not have to engage in every battle. You do not have to respond to every critic. You do not have to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Jesus himself demonstrated the power of silence. When he was accused, he did not waste time defending himself against those who had already made up their minds. He remained silent because he knew that his purpose was greater than their opinions. He understood that arguing would not change their hearts. Instead of speaking, he let his actions fulfill his mission. And in the end, his impact was undeniable. Sometimes the best response is no response. Silence is not about weakness. It is about strength. It is about knowing when to speak and when to let your actions do the talking. It is about choosing wisdom over impulsiveness, focus over distraction, and peace over unnecessary conflict. The world is loud. People are constantly shouting for attention, trying to outdo each other, trying to prove their worth through noise. But true strength lies in the ability to remain silent and let success be the voice. True wisdom is knowing that words mean little if they are not backed by action. True confidence is moving forward without needing constant validation. Your growth does not need to be announced. Your progress does not need to be explained. Stay silent, stay focused, and let your results speak for themselves. Because when you truly understand the power of silence, you realize that you don't need to prove anything. Your life will prove it for you. Discipline is the foundation of success. It is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who only dream about them. Without discipline, even the most talented, intelligent, or ambitious individuals will struggle to turn their potential into reality. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, discipline becomes your greatest ally. It keeps you moving forward even when motivation fades. It helps you resist distractions, ignore negativity, and stay committed to the path you have chosen. In a world filled with distractions, discipline is more important than ever. Every day, there are countless things trying to pull your attention away from your goals. Social media, entertainment, meaningless gossip, and the pressure to fit in. If you're not careful, these distractions will consume your time and energy, leaving you with nothing to show for it. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is the ability to say no to distractions and yes to discipline. Discipline means doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. There will be days when you are tired, uninspired, or discouraged. There will be moments when giving up seems easier than pushing through, but this is where discipline makes the difference. It teaches you to push past emotions. Feelings come and go, but disciplined habits will carry you through the tough times. One of the biggest reasons people fail to achieve their goals is that they wait for motivation to take action. They wait until they feel inspired to start working, studying, or improving themselves. But motivation is unreliable. It comes in waves, and it fades quickly. If you depend on motivation, you will only work when you feel like it, and that is not enough to create lasting change. Discipline, on the other hand, is constant. It does not depend on emotions. It is a decision to commit to your goals no matter how you feel in the moment. Discipline requires sacrifice. If you want to focus on yourself and grow, you have to be willing to let go of certain things. That might mean spending less time on social media, distancing yourself from negative influences, or saying no to activities that do not align with your goals. Many people struggle with discipline because they are unwilling to give up temporary pleasures for long-term success. But growth requires trade-offs. You cannot have success and comfort at the same time. You have to choose which one matters more to you. There is a reason why some people are consistent while others keep starting over. It is not about intelligence or talent. It is about habits. Discipline is not just about working hard occasionally. It is about building habits that support your goals every single day. Small daily actions lead to big results over time. If you make excuses today, you will make them tomorrow, and before you know it, months or even years will pass without progress. But if you commit to discipline today, even in small ways, you will create momentum that will carry you forward. One of the greatest benefits of discipline is that it builds confidence. When you are disciplined, you start to trust yourself. You no longer need external validation because you know that you are doing the work. Confidence does not come from talking about your goals. It comes from taking action and proving to yourself that you are capable. Every time you follow through on a commitment to yourself, you strengthen your belief in your own abilities. Discipline also helps you control your emotions. Many people allow their emotions to dictate their actions, which leads to inconsistency. They work hard one day but lose focus the next because they are frustrated, stressed, or distracted. But disciplined people learn to manage their emotions instead of being controlled by them. They understand that feelings are temporary, but their goals require long-term commitment. They do not allow momentary discouragement to derail their progress. Another important aspect of discipline is time management. How you spend your time determines your future. People who lack discipline often waste hours on things that do not contribute to their growth. They say they want to succeed, but their daily habits do not reflect that desire. Time is one of the most valuable resources you have, and once it is gone, you can never get it back. If you want to achieve something meaningful, you must be intentional about how you use your time. Instead of wasting it on distractions, invest it in things that will help you grow. Reading, learning new skills, exercising, or working toward your goals. One of the biggest challenges in developing discipline is breaking old habits. Many people struggle with self-control because they have spent years reinforcing negative patterns. Procrastination, laziness, or inconsistency. But the good news is that discipline can be developed. It is not something you are born with. It is something you build through practice. The key is to start small and stay consistent. You do not have to be perfect, but you do have to be committed. There will be moments when you fail. Discipline does not mean you will never make mistakes. It means that when you do, you get back on track immediately. Many people allow one bad day to turn into a bad week, a bad month, or even a bad year. But failure is only permanent if you let it be. Disciplined people learn from their mistakes and keep going. They do not dwell on failure. They use it as fuel to improve. Discipline is also about setting boundaries. If you want to focus on yourself, you have to protect your time and energy. That might mean saying no to people who drain you, avoiding environments that distract you, or creating a daily routine that prioritizes your goals. Many people struggle with discipline because they allow too many outside influences to dictate their actions. But when you set clear boundaries and stick to them, you create an environment that supports your growth. At the end of the day, discipline is a choice. It is not something that magically happens. It is something you decide to develop. You have to choose whether you will take responsibility for your future or let distractions, excuses, and emotions hold you back. You have to choose whether you will stay committed to your goals or let temporary pleasures keep you stagnant. No one else can make that choice for you. The truth is, discipline is hard. It requires effort, consistency, and sacrifice. But do you know what is even harder? Living a life full of regret, knowing that you had the potential to do more but never took action. Every moment you delay your growth, you are making that future more likely. But every step you take towards discipline, no matter how small, brings you closer to success. Your future is being shaped by what you do today. Not by what you say you will do, not by what you plan to do, but by what you actually do. If you want to change your life, start with discipline, because when you master discipline, you master your future. Growth requires isolation. This does not mean cutting yourself off from the world completely, but it does mean learning to separate yourself from distractions, negative influences, and environments that do not support your progress. There comes a point in life when you have to step away from certain people, habits, and situations in order to truly focus on yourself. The process of self-improvement is deeply personal, and sometimes the only way to hear your own thoughts and align with your true purpose is to step back from the noise around you. Isolation is not loneliness. It is not about being alone in a negative sense. It is about creating space for transformation. When you are constantly surrounded by people, opinions, and external pressures, it becomes difficult to hear your own inner voice. You may find yourself making decisions based on what others expect from you rather than what is truly best for your growth. When you take time to isolate yourself, you begin to see things clearly. You start to understand what you really want, what you truly need, and what steps you must take to move forward. Many people fear isolation because they associate it with being abandoned or forgotten, but the truth is, some of the greatest breakthroughs in life come during seasons of isolation. When you are constantly surrounded by others, it is easy to become distracted by their energy, their expectations, and even their limitations. But when you take a step back, you gain a fresh perspective. You begin to realize which relationships are truly beneficial and which ones have been holding you back. You start to see the areas in your life that need change, and you gain the clarity and strength to make those changes. Isolation is necessary for self-reflection. Growth does not happen when you are constantly engaged in the external world. It happens when you take time to look inward, to assess your strengths and weaknesses, to acknowledge the areas where you need to improve, and to develop a plan for self-improvement. When you isolate yourself from distractions, you create the mental space needed to focus on your personal development. It is during isolation that some of the most successful people in history found their purpose. Jesus often withdrew to quiet places to pray and reflect. Great thinkers, inventors, and leaders have all spoken about the power of stepping away from the world in order to gain wisdom and clarity. Isolation allows you to reset your mind, recharge your spirit, and refine your vision. It is in the quiet moments that your biggest revelations will come. One of the biggest reasons people resist isolation is the fear of missing out. Social media has made it seem like everyone is constantly achieving, celebrating, and living their best lives. This illusion makes it difficult for people to step away because they feel like they might fall behind or be forgotten. But true growth does not happen in public, it happens in private. The people who are truly making progress are not the ones constantly seeking attention. They are the ones who are focused, working and building in silence. If you want to grow, you must be willing to separate yourself for a season. This might mean spending less time with certain friends who are not aligned with your goals. It might mean turning off social media for a while so you can stop comparing yourself to others. It might mean spending more time reading, learning, and working on your craft instead of being constantly entertained. It is in these moments of separation that real transformation takes place. Isolation also helps you develop inner strength. When you rely too much on external validation, you become dependent on the opinions of others. But when you spend time alone, you learn to validate yourself. You begin to trust your own judgment. You stop seeking approval and start living with confidence. Many people struggle with insecurity because they've never taken the time to truly get to know themselves. They have always been influenced by what others think, say, and expect. But when you step away from the noise, you discover who you really are. There will be times when isolation feels uncomfortable. Growth is not always pleasant. It requires you to confront your weaknesses, to deal with unresolved issues, and to push past your own limitations. But discomfort is a necessary part of transformation. If you are always comfortable, you are not growing. Isolation forces you to face yourself honestly, without distractions or excuses. It is in this space that you develop the discipline, focus, and resilience needed to succeed. People who fear isolation often end up stuck in cycles of stagnation. They stay in the same environments, surrounded by the same people, engaging in the same habits, and wondering why nothing in their lives is changing. But change requires separation. If you want to break old patterns and build a new future, you must be willing to detach from the things that no longer serve you. This does not mean you will be alone forever. It simply means that for a season, you must prioritize your personal growth over everything else. One of the greatest lessons you will learn in isolation is that you are capable of standing on your own. You do not need constant validation. You do not need approval from everyone around you. You do not need to explain your journey to people who do not understand it. When you learn to be comfortable in your own presence, you develop an unshakable confidence. You realize that your worth is not determined by who is around you, but by who you are becoming. Isolation also teaches you patience. Many people give up on their goals because they expect instant results. But true success is built over time, and that time often includes periods of solitude. It is in these moments that you refine your skills, strengthen your mindset, and prepare for the opportunities ahead. The greatest breakthroughs do not happen overnight. They happen through consistent effort, often in private, before the results are ever seen in public. Not everyone will understand your need for isolation. Some people will think you are acting differently, becoming distant, or being antisocial. But remember, their understanding is not required for your growth. The people who truly care about you will respect your need for personal development. And when you return stronger, wiser, and more focused, they will see the value of the time you took to focus on yourself. Isolation is not a punishment, it is a preparation. It is a time to rebuild, to refocus, and to realign with your purpose. It is a time to step away from distractions, from negativity, and from anything that does not support your growth. If you embrace this season, you will emerge stronger than ever. The world moves fast, and it constantly demands your attention. But if you truly want to grow, you must be willing to step back, to be still, and to focus on yourself. In the silence, in the solitude, in the moments when no one is watching, that is where real transformation happens. And when you return, you will not have to announce your growth. It will be evident in the way you carry yourself, in the way you think, and in the way you move through life. Focus on yourself, stay silent, grow in private, and let your results speak for themselves. Growth is a journey that requires focus, discipline, and the wisdom to know when to stay silent. In a world that constantly demands attention, validation, and approval, true success comes to those who learn to move in silence, work in private, and let the results speak for themselves. When you focus on yourself, you stop wasting energy on things that do not serve you. When you stop lent on things that do not serve you, you stop explaining yourself to people who do not understand your vision. You stop seeking validation from the world and start building a life that speaks for itself. Silence is not weakness, it is power. It protects your energy, keeps you disciplined, and allows you to grow without distractions. When you step away from the noise, you gain clarity. When you embrace isolation, you discover who you truly are. When you commit to discipline, you build a foundation for lasting success. Every great achievement begins in private, in the moments when no one is watching, in the sacrifices that no one sees. Your focus determines your future. If you constantly seek approval, engage in unnecessary distractions, or let the opinions of others dictate your actions, you will never reach your full potential. But if you learn to stay silent, work in private, and stay committed to your goals, success will be inevitable. You do not need to announce your growth. You do not need to prove yourself to anyone. Let your actions speak. Let your results tell your story. At the end of the day, success is not about what you say. It is about what you do. The world does not need more noise. It needs more action. Focus on yourself. Stay silent, stay disciplined, stay committed. And when the time is right, your growth will be undeniable. You will not have to say a word because your success will say everything for you.